Welcome back to how to build an F-14 Tomcat. It's been about a week since my last video, but we've been keeping busy. We have gotten a lot done. As you can see, I got the nose cone on. I chopped the solid balsa block that's on the very front of it off here, and I replaced it with a new one because the last one just wasn't the right shape. It took a real big curve here. It actually kind of came down a lot steeper than it was, so the point was actually about right here instead of in its proper position here. So you can see that's a little darker color than the rest of it. I got it drying with some epoxy right now. Well, working on our way back here through the nose, you can see the entire gun is now plated. We've also got a little access panel here, then the bullet purge vents and all, along with the naked ducts that we previously had done. Come back, we got another one of the blisters for the cannon, and its naked duct cut out. This one was a little difficult to do. We actually had to just kind of chop it out of the balsa block, make the panel, and stick it in there, and hope it came out working fairly well, which came out very well. I'm happy with it. Working back there, we've got one of the exhaust grills for it. Just like the real thing, it's got a nice little curve to it. We're kind of missing about one grill opening on the top and the bottom of it, but it's close enough for what we're looking at. And then right below it, we've got the access panel here, just like the real thing as well. Going up to nose gear doors, we've got the two vents on them. Fairly simple to make these. What we did was just drilled a hole at each end, connected it, and drew it and cut between the two holes with an X-Acto knife to make the openings. Took about half an hour to do each one 3 times because kept messing up, but we got them done. Working our way back through, we've got a lot more of the panels put on, like these two here, this one, these, and all of these here, and they just keep on stacking up as you go back. All in all, we got about 20 of these panels. It's about this size and smaller on the bottom of just the airplane. Here's the big one. We got almost the entire inlet done. So it's starting to feel like we're getting somewhere now. And you can see we've still got the corners here to do on the inlets. I'm going to save those for last. I ran out of my rubber compound. Actually, I used the last of that to make the panels for the gear doors here, and then the panel here, which even after making all those forms, it didn't work out for us at all. Ended up not working that great. And we'll pull these little forms out here and I'll kind of show you those things. They pretty heavy for what they are. You can see it's a direct casting. This one here is for the nose gear, or the main landing gear door area, and then here we have the side of the fuselage. This one actually worked really well for making the gear door panel. We couldn't make it completely out of one piece just because of the curve here. We had a huge wrinkle in a couple of places on the side of the door, and just wasn't happy with that, so we ended up making the top panel with the curve, and then we made another panel and just seamed them together. And I'll show you those here in a minute. Same thing for this one. Since this one actually curves this way away from it, the curve's here, so it's actually closer to us here and further away here and here. With that inward curve, and then here the panel just wouldn't bend at all. Every time we do it, we get it real nice and formed here and here, so it's kind of slippery. But right here in the corners where the curve is, it was just really bad, and we never could get out all the wrinkles. But the things I use to get some of these inside corners like this, we get from Bob's favorite place, Harbor Freight. We got a 25-piece dumbing block set and punch. Basically what it is, it's just all these little round punches. You can see they're just completely round and spherical. And they include this little dumbing block as well with all these different half-round, quarter-round pieces into it. I just take the right size part, and most of the time it's the biggest one they've got, which is I think it's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. But you can see it just goes right down in there, and I'll just take the anneal piece of litho plate and I'll put it in place, and then I'll just take this and I'll just run it right up and down it. And what it does, it forms this real nice tight radius curve that's fairly consistent, because this is completely machine ground. And then I'll take my wallpaper seam roller and I'll just roll that out, and I'll take it, use it to get rid of the wrinkles. If I have any wrinkles here that I can't get rid of, Actually, I take the aluminum plate out, I put it on the airplane, and then I roll where the curve is. And here you can see, you can kind of see some of the machine marks into it. This will probably show up into the mold. There's not really any way of getting around it, unless I just completely make enough of these forms to stamp every part on the airplane out, and it just take way too long to be really expensive. Here you can see our seam line that I was talking about for the gear doors. I'm going to try and fill this in with some sort of JB Weld or Devcon putty, which we use it to repair flap tracks on King Air series airplanes. It's kind of a metal filled JB Weld. Stuff dries extremely hard, and literally it takes hours to file it to the right size. So if I can get it to fill in the cracks, this panel line may disappear that shouldn't be there, or it'll just be something I'll have to get finished off in the finishing process. Here we got the same thing on this one. We got a little seam line. Just no way of getting around it. Had to make this panel here a separate piece, and then this I annealed it. I put the panel on here, and I just use my seam roller to get the right size. And here you can see two little access panels as well. These back here, fairly simple. This one was actually really simple. We just cut it to size, used the seam roller to get the edge, glued it in place, it was done. Here, this one you can see a little bit of slight discoloration around here. We mostly annealed this area here, seam roller, took it up. You can see a little bit of a seam there from the edge of the roller, and put it in place. Just stuff like this we just can't really get around, and it'll just have to be finished in the process if it shows up into the molds. Here you can see the work from what we get for a hinge line, piano hinge line. Comes out really well once you get rid of all the black Sharpie. Very happy with that. Hopefully it'll show up in the molds. If not, oh well. But that's pretty much where we're at. Nope, I got one more thing I can show you. If anybody's wondering about how I'm going to do the wing pivot box, we know Bob's got the solid chunk of aluminum, basically. He's got a fairly simple one that just goes straight across the bottom of the airplane. Mine, see if I can't show you. You can kind of see the shape of the top of the airframe there. It's kind of comes across, dips down, goes into a hump, and dips right back up again. Kind of like a gull wing. So because of that, makes it very hard to. We can't just go straight across, or else the box would end up coming out of the airplane, out of the top of it. So what I did is in CAD, I've drawn up these little parts here. We've got a U-bracket here, which I haven't decided if I'm going to form these out of carbon fiber or aluminum yet. But this will actually bolt to this carbon fiber box. This will be all hand laid, 3000 carbon fiber cloth. This box will probably end up being about a quarter to half an inch thick by the time I'm done with it. So it's going to be a lot of carbon cloth into it. It spans about 30 inches, with each one of these plates being about 3 to 4 inches each. And then our pivot shaft to go in where these holes are. And this will actually be, it's kind of just square to it now. This will actually be cut out across the top to fit the contour of the fuselage perfectly, so it'll actually be fitting the fuselage. It'll be epoxied, and then we'll have carbon cloth attaching it to the top of the fuselage. Then we'll have a solid, probably a carbon and birch ply laminate on the back, and then another one on the front. So this will be an extremely integral part of the airplane. Hopefully it won't break. There's a just close up of the wing pivot bracket. It's fairly simple. You got your pivot bolt to go through here. Then we have 5 bolts holding it to the carbon fiber center bracket. Let's see, what else can we find. Just a couple of drawings going through for the main stab. Here we got the beginnings for the arrestor hook. What I'm thinking about doing here is the actual arrestor hook shaft will be carbon, and then the hook end, I'm thinking of doing this up in Delrin for those who are on pavement, just so it'll be a wearable thing that can be replaced. And for those who want the ultimate cool factor, I'm also thinking of having this done up as in magnesium as well, so you can bolt it in and out to replace it. And the magnesium, when it actually hits the pavement or the asphalt on landing, it'll actually throw little sparks out just like the airplane would if it was landing on a carrier at night. Should be some pretty cool stuff if it works out. Here you see our wing bearing holder. This will actually go in place in the wing. We'll have 2 bearings, top and bottom, and then about a 3/4 inch diameter steel axle that I'm calling it. That'll be bolted between the pivot brackets. So that's where we're at. I'll try and keep up with the videos a little bit better like Bob has been. Just been getting a lot of this done. Trying to get the airplane ready for a swap meet and a static show tomorrow. So I'll try and get y'all a video while we're there. Maybe some better pictures of the airplane. But that's where we're at. Until next time, we'll see you in the shop.